So, a couple of things have arrived today. I'm very grateful for. A load of games from a friend via eBay. I'll be testing those later. And this. That can might be better. GoFloppy Red. Designed by LI-NUX Jedi on Twitter. Andrew, thank you very much for this piece of kit. This one has a red LED. It's essentially, I guess it's essentially a Flashfloppy Goex Gotek thingy. I've never owned one before. I thought all the existing ones looked a bit boring, complicated, for want of a better term, and they just didn't appeal to me. But obviously I have a thing about floppies, so when a floppy shaped one became available, I had to have it. So, arrived in a nice box, good sensible size box, trying not to drop it. It was wrapped in this stuff, which is useful. It's in an anti-static bag, sealed with an anti-static label on it, so I should probably static discharge myself to make sure that I haven't got any static on me. And let's open it up and have a look. Oh, and by the way, I predict problems. The main problem I predict is I ordered this and I didn't think to order an SD card for it. So if I've got an SD card that fits, I might be in luck, but if I haven't, I'll have to get one. So, without much further ado, let's have a look. Excellent. This is reassuringly heavy. It's reassuringly black. It's reassuringly well built. So, oh, fantastic! One thing I didn't see mentioned in the manual was the size of the SD card slot, but if you can see that, just there, that looks to me full size, so it should take a full size SD card, just like that. Bother. That means I've now got to prep a full size SD card. Oh, hang on. Yeah, that lives in there. So, I need to select an SD card, and I need to prep an SD card. And I've never prepped an SD card or a Gotek or a Goex or a Flashfloppy or anything like that before. So, I'm going to have to read the manual. Yeah. Now, oh good, so there's a little jumper here. We've got cell 0, which is what Amiga or Atari ST would be. Cell 1, which would normally be the PC's A drive on the end of the cable after the twist. Or MT-ROM. I guess that's programming. I could be wrong, I don't know. It's very black. Right, anyway, so most Gotex, Goex, Flashfloppies things that I've seen, and I could be wrong on this, I don't know, I'm not experienced with them. This is the first one of these things I've ever had in my hands. But most of them, from what I understand, have jumper settings so you can configure various configurations, like whether it's a Shugart drive or not. This doesn't have that, which means, from what I've read, you're going to have to do some configuration of a file that will live on the SD card, which you'll have to prepare. So, this comes with a manual. Let's have a look through it. So, oh yeah, and retrosupplies.co.uk is the website address. That's https://www.retrosupplies.co.uk or sales@retrosupplies.co.uk. So, GoFloppy is a Flashfloppy based floppy drive emulator that can be used with many different platforms that use floppy disk drives. I think we've got Kia Fraser to thank for Flashfloppy, as well as Amiga Test Kit, which I do use, and the Grease Weasel, which I bought from Kia's eBay, and I have my Grease Weasel here, which gives me a slightly crazy idea. I'm not going to say what that is, I might come back to it. Let's go back to this. GoFloppy is a Flashfloppy based floppy drive emulator that can be used with many different platforms that use floppy disk drives. It is similar in function to the Gotek drive that can also use the Flashfloppy firmware. Cool. Connects to a regular 34-pin floppy drive cable and floppy drive power connector. Uses an SD card to provide the disk images. The configuration of the drive has been simplified to use a simple selector switch for drive ID. Perfect. I like this. Keep it stupidly simple. Hardware setup. Plug it in basically. So, to use the GoFloppy with your computer, simply connect the floppy, data and power connectors to it. So that's data. It's a keyed socket. If you can see on there, just there, it is a keyed socket. I've seen some Amiga drives that have keyed sockets and the key is on the wrong side for the cable. Anyway, pin 1 I think is identified by the little arrow at this end, but basically pin 1 is next to power. So that's the opposite way around to the China and floppy disk drive that's in my Amiga 1200. So just remember the data cable I've got to flip upside down. So for IBM PC computers it should be set to select 1, which it isn't, set to select 0. Any other machine should be cell 0. Cool. Progress. SD card needs to be formatted as FAT32. Well, that's easy enough. We can use Windows or DOS. Disk image for your platform needs to be loaded onto this. You may also need an FF.cfg file. I think we're going to need that for certain because this has got I think it's got a display in it. OLED, is it? Yeah, you may also need an FF.cfg file which tells the drive how to talk to your hardware. For those that find my dialect difficult, that's Foxtrot, Foxtrot, dot, Charlie, Foxtrot, Golf. If you do a Google search, you can find the wiki on GitHub, which explains all the configuration options. Or, if you download some of Keir Fraser's Grease Weasel stuff, I think it's detailed in there. I think the Flashfloppy stuff contains details. Anyway, there's no JC jumper on GoFloppy, so you'll need to explicitly state non-Shugart drive options. I can't remember if the Amiga is classed as a Shugart drive or not. I've got a feeling Shugart drives support 3 drives per cable. Amigas support 4 drives, but not that way. Anyway, a template for the ff.cfg file can be found in the firmware release zip file at https://github.com keirf, that's KEIRF /flashfloppy/releases. If you do this, you should change the display type line to look like this. Display dash, that's minus sign, same thing. Display dash type space equals space OLED dash or minus 128x64 dash or minus inverse. Ah, inverse. So that'll make it look like that way. If I wanted the other colour, I guess, sorry, the other way around, I guess I'll leave inverse off. Could try that maybe. To use the drive, insert the SD card. This can be done whilst the machine is on or off. The GoFloppy drive can detect whether or not a card has been inserted. So just like a floppy disk, you can do a disk change thing, I guess. Maybe not the same as disk change in the Workbench operating system, we'll find out later. The jog dial up, down scrolls through the images and directories right and left. Pushing the jog dial in selects the image or directory. By default it will automatically select after a pause of a few seconds. Cool. Firmware updates, I'm not interested. That's an excellent manual. So yeah, I got to be honest, I read the manual first and I thought SD card setup. I thought, oh, it doesn't mention what type of SD card it is. Maybe it's a small one, but it isn't. It's an SD card. It's a full-size SD card. Excellent. Well, I guess that means I better prepare an SD card and some disk images. I guess there'll be a video to follow. Hope you enjoyed this brief introduction. If you do want one of these GoFloppies, you can get them here. The website address, not sure if you can see that. Try holding up that. You know what, I'm just going to... That might work there. Can you see that? No, it's terrible. I I will add it to the video, or I'll put a link in the video description down below. Hope you found this interesting. And I got to be honest, if you want a Gotek Flashfloppy type drive that looks like a floppy disk, I mean, I think that looks really good. I mean, you know, I've got a proper DSHD here in my right hand, and that one in my left hand, and you know, they're just, what can you say? I mean, spot on. Very nice. There's a capacitor in there, so in about 30 years time it's going to need that capacitor replaced. Yes, I think it's a capacitor, it looks like one. But that should be an easy enough job because it's assembled properly. I like this, I really do. Anyway, I'm going to go and try and get this working. I'm going to do this off cam first. Make sure I get the process right. Make sure it's repeatable. And then I'll try it again and see if it actually works. Hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more to come.